Didn't get to attend Unite LA 2018? Well, guess who was there, so let's get to it. You are listening to the How to Create VR podcast, weekly conversations with VR and AR professional creators, designers, and producers. Hello and welcome to another episode of the How to Create VR podcast, where I speak with professional creators, designers, developers, and producers who work on VR, AR, and MR projects. I'm Marcelo Lewin, an immersive technologies evangelist, creator, producer, and the guy behind howtocreatevr.com. I was lucky enough to attend Unite Los Angeles 2018, the conference to attend if you are a Unity developer. Although I'm not a Unity developer myself, covering the VR and AR industry from a creator's point of view is what I do, and I have to tell you, I learned a lot by attending this conference and got inspired enough to start learning Unity. One thing I realized is that Unity developers are really a bunch of nice people that are willing to talk to you and share everything they know. I really enjoy that about this conference. In this episode, I interviewed many developers and creators from Vuforia, Unity, IBM, GetSocial, Tridify, Plastique, and Rokoko. I do have to give you a quick warning though. On some of these interviews, I experienced technical issues with my microphones. I tried to clean up those issues as much as I could in post, but the sound quality isn't as great as my normal interviews. Maybe this means it's time for me to get a pair of new microphones. One last thing, if you enjoy these podcast episodes and want more interviews, how-to tutorials, ability to comment and favorite, build watch lists, download practice assets, and much more, visit howtocreatevr.com and click on the Register for Free button on the homepage. The more users we have registered on our website, the easier it will be for me to get great guests to come to the podcast. Alright, with that said, you are in for a treat, so let's get to the interviews. Vinny, welcome to the podcast. We're here at Unite LA 2018, and you are with Vuforia. For those that are not aware of what Vuforia is, can you give us a quick overview?
Sure. So Vuforia is an augmented reality SDK platform that's built into Unity, and it allows developers to put content into the real world using advanced computer vision.
Now, you guys were acquired by Unity. Were you an independent?
No, so Vuforia started off out in Qualcomm. Qualcomm had a division called Vuforia.
Got it.
And then PTC acquired Vuforia a couple years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
I see. So explain, where does Vuforia come in, or where does it fit within Unity? And let's say ARKit, ARCore, there's other apps out there that allow you to create like AR. So where does it fit within the frameworks?
Sure. So Vuforia's engine is currently integrated into Unity, and when developers install Unity, they have the option to install Vuforia engine as part of their modules. And how it fits into ARKit and ARCore, it's interesting because we're complementary technology.
Right.
I mean, all of these are focused on computer vision and augmented reality, and we have tons of different feature sets that are available, including image targets, view marks, and model targets. The way that we work with ARKit and ARCore is that when it comes to doing something in space or to help sort of make the content even more robust, we will leverage ARKit and ARCore if it's there. It's a technology that we internally call Vuforia Fusion. So essentially is that the SDK intelligently decides what technology to use internally.
I see. So the user or developer doesn't need to know ARKit or ARCore. They just need to know Vuforia, and Vuforia will decide what to. So having said that, does Vuforia keep up to date on the latest of ARKit and ARCore? Because obviously as they release, and expand the API, you guys have to keep up with that. How does that work?
Yeah, so a couple of things. So we don't have full API coverage of ARKit and ARCore. We leverage a bunch of things that make sense for our current platform. Now, as far as getting up to date, so we do our best to make sure that when there's a release of ARKit or ARCore, that we update and that we have it all in sync.
Is there some sort of delay that people should expect between a release and your update? Is there a typical?
It probably depends a lot on whether or not there's a beta available beforehand, whether or not there's new devices, right? There's a lot of variables there.
Yeah.
But we try very hard to provide support for those platforms as soon as we can.
Right. So give a couple of reasons why people should go, or developers should use Vuforia as opposed to going directly to ARKit. I mean, what are some of the benefits specifically of Vuforia that?
There's a lot of cases where it makes sense to go to ARKit directly or ARCore directly, right? We're not here necessarily to say that. The general idea, though, is that we say is that if you're looking to augment a wider amount of objects, I mean, our platform supplies that, right? So cylinders and boxes and murals and all sorts of models, right? Any kind of CAD model with model targets. So we sort of provide all of that the functionality. And the other part of it too is that currently right now when you're dealing with ARKit and ARCore, you're only dealing with iOS or Android, and we have a cross-platform solution.
I see. So with yours, you can literally publish to both.
Yes, and we also support devices that don't support ARKit and ARCore, right? So if you're looking to deploy an older iPhone or an Android that doesn't have ARCore, we will use our own internal technology to sort of bridge that gap.
What are your thoughts on web AR, and where does Vuforia fit into that?
In web AR?
In web AR, yeah.
So web AR is really interesting, and we're obviously all looking at it, sort of seeing what's going on there. The way that we see it from an engineering perspective is that we're reliant on having a lot of performance when it comes to computer vision, and web AR isn't there yet as far as what we can run on a browser. I'm sure that's going to change over time, and we'll reevaluate it, but for the time being, it's just something that we're keeping an eye on.
I see, cool. So if people want to get Vuforia, I guess they have to, what if they already installed Unity and they didn't install Vuforia? What's the process for
So we're baked into Unity. So if you try to enable Vuforia in the XR settings in Unity and they're not there, you can go ahead and click a button and it will automatically download the Vuforia module. So that's there too. And if you're a developer that's not using Unity, we also have native SDKs for iOS, Android, and UWP.
Cool. If people want to find out more, where should they go?
Vuforia.com.
Excellent. Thank you, Vinny. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Mark, welcome to Unite LA 2018. You work with Unity.
I do.
And you're in the auto tech sector, I guess?
Yes, so I'm on the automotive team, the evangelist for for automotive vertical.
So we'll talk a little about that because I just heard you speak with somebody else about how cool you were importing CAD files into and converting them to polygons.
Yes.
But let's start out with a little bit about enterprise, because everybody here obviously talks about gaming, and Unity isn't all from gaming.
Sure.
And I'm more focused on the VR sector.
Okay.
So enterprise is going to be pretty huge for that.
You know, we've always had big gaming customers like Electronic Arts and Blizzard. They use our software. But more and more, we started to see companies like Boeing, Ford, Lexus, Volkswagen. We started to see them buying Unity licenses and started to investigate like what are they doing with it.
Right.
We really just started to figure out that these companies don't generally have visualization engines that can achieve all the things that they want to do. They look at games like Forza out there and they see these particle trails and dust and smoke and these beautiful visualizations of cars, and they're working with CATIA, SolidWorks, these modeling engines which don't generally have photorealistic outputs. So they thought, hey, you know what if we take these models, bring them into Unity, and see what we can do with them. So that sort of started it more on the visualization side. And then, like I just came back from Volkswagen where they're designing cars in VR with, like Tilt Brush, if you're familiar with the program Tilt Brush. So Tilt Brush is painting polygons at the end of the day, whereas Volkswagen developed a pure NURBS modeler. So they can actually sketch a car with the controller in NURBS. You don't do the final design, but you can get a good mock-up. That gets sent off to somebody either using like Alias Studio or some of these other CAD tools to really put some of the fine details in there. Yeah. But it's amazing to see. I was very skeptical, to be honest, but then actually watching one of their lead designers put the headset on and boom, 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 he made a pretty cool looking car in like 5 minutes. Right. So they're actually eating their, kind of say eating your dog food, whatever. They're putting their tools that they develop to good use, and then from there they're doing things like autonomous driving. Mentioned design, but also visualization for commercials. Why go film a big fancy commercial and have to keep that car perfectly polished when you can just use a VR 3D car and go like that?
Yeah, right. You said autonomous driving. So how does Unity fit into that?
The way autonomous driving works is, if you think of like a Tesla. Tesla has 6, 8, 9 cameras, whatever. They're all looking in various different places, and they're taking video. Tesla uses all real video, but some of these other autonomous driving vehicles, they use LiDAR, they use different types of sensors.
Right.
Well, because Unity has a camera, and you can have a camera shader, which alters the way that camera looks, we can replicate things like LiDAR. We can replicate real world, we can replicate 360 video. So you build your world, you build your city inside of Unity, and then you have cars driving around, pedestrians walking around, and now you have a brain on the car, on your hero car, that's driving around trying to avoid all that stuff.
Right.
So rather than put it out in the real world and potentially injure someone or kill someone, we do all this virtually. I mean, there are cars out in the real world as well, but the majority of the data that's powering the brains that is driving, making these machines learn, is coming from Unity. And we just output 6 or 7, 8 different streams of video. They all get fed into the real board. NVIDIA makes most of the hardware for autonomous driving. It has inputs. The video goes into those inputs, and And there you go. And one of the neat things that I didn't realize is when a car with autonomous driving capabilities drives through mud or a bug hits one of those cameras, the simulation can't end. It can't just suddenly crash. It has to put a lot of compute power. Now what do I do to solve that problem that one of those cameras is gone? And we can simulate all that with Unity. Press a button or just have the simulation randomly throw locusts at your car. I mean, it sounds crazy, but it all has to happen, and it's all happening. It's really...
And what does it have to do if you have like a piece of bug blocking a bit of the camera? Does it have to like rebuild part of that image to figure it out what's going on?
So that's where machine learning does its magic.
Yeah.
It knows that it can't fail, it can't crash, it can't just suddenly relinquish control. So they try to teach it and steer it, not really steer, forgive the pun, try to steer the thing in the right direction so it doesn't do something wrong. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. The more times you trigger that event to happen, the more times a computer understands what the right thing to do is until it gets it right. It's fascinating. It's one of the most coolest uses of Unity I've seen or heard.
That is. Yeah, I haven't heard of that either. So what's your take on, switching a little bit on the subject, on training and using Unity for corporate training?
Sure. So again, I focus on automotive, so I can talk a lot about that. I recently came back from Volkswagen in Germany, in Wolfsburg, and they're doing a lot of factory training with Unity. So before, Porsche's doing it as well, so like before one of their engines ever is actually built, some mechanic, because like at Porsche, they hand build every engine. So that mechanic has already virtually built an engine. Or the factory design, that's an amazing one. When these companies retool their factories, it's an incredible, huge task. You know, when you switch model years to a complete overhaul of a brand new car, that entire factory has to be gutted, all new machines come in there, all new robots. And with Unity, we can simulate the training flow, we can simulate the moving factory, and train all of those workers before they ever crank a bolt or a nut. We can train them how to do their job. And at Volkswagen, they told me that injuries have gone down and productivity has gone up because they're able to not just learn on the fly like after the factory's already built, but before that factory's even built, they're able to put in safety features, test the way the layout of the floor is going to be, what the workflow is.
And they're learning all in VR?
They're learning all of that in VR.
So that says a lot, not just for Unity, but really for VR in general, right?
Absolutely. I think VR is catching on for the consumer for sure. You know, if you're like me, I literally had to buy a new house because I needed a VR room. I had this tiny little house. So I understand there is some pains for the consumer sometimes to adopt that. Not everyone has a free room.
There's some friction.
Yeah,
wait until next year when Oculus Quest comes out, though.
Right, when that comes out, that'll be wonderful. But on the corporate side, Volkswagen had millions of square feet of factory space. They can have a VR room as big as they want, right? We saw some video there of Audi, their VR space. So they're able, for them, the money's not an issue, the space isn't an issue. So they use VR way more than you would think. I was stunned how many headsets they had, how worn out they were. Like, well, you guys are pushing these things. Everything from the design of the car to the feel of the car, again, training, simulation.
Well, cool. Mark, thank you so much for your time. If people want to find out more about Unity, just unity3d.com or
unity3d.com. If you're interested in automotive or industrial, there's a separate link on the homepage for that. Otherwise, we're heavy into gaming, obviously. It's amazing what Unity's being used for. It's more and more becoming less of a game engine, more of a creation engine, and it's fascinating to see what our users do. I mean, at a conference like this at Unite, I get so many people coming up to me with uses of Unity I would have never thought of.
Perfect. That's awesome.
So there you go.
All right, Mark. Thank you so much.
A pleasure.
Cheers. So Scott, welcome to Unite LA here in downtown Los Angeles. You are with IBM, right?
That's correct.
And Big Blue, man.
Yeah.
The one that started the computer revolution.
Yes, indeed.
I remember the first PC. I mean, I'm that old.
I hear ya.
Okay, I remember the first PC. I think it was an 8086.
Yep.
On it, and just that's what started it all in the corporate environment, and from the corporate it went to the consumer.
That's right.
Right? And the reason I say that is because I'd like to get IBM's take on VR, because I feel VR is going through that same flow where it's not really taking off on the consumer side, besides gamers, right? Gamers, obviously. But I think once corporate adapts it and the enterprise adapts VR, do you feel that the same thing is going to happen with VR that happened with the computer desktop in the 80s?
Yeah, I think so. We see a tremendous amount of interest from large enterprises in a lot of different areas, training especially, demonstrations. There's really a lot of interest right now, and it's a little bit under the radar because it's not as sexy as games, so people can play with an app and they can see the cool gaming stuff, but they're not seeing what these enterprises are really investing in, and there's a lot going on.
But you'd be very surprised to see how excited people specifically like in L&D and corporate training departments, they're really excited about VR. They really want to take this on.
Absolutely.
So what is IBM working on from the VR perspective?
We have quite a few tools in the AI area, branded under Watson, so things like speech to text, text to speech, visual recognition, language translation, natural language classifiers, a dozen of them. And we provide SDKs in most programming languages like Python, Node, and Java. But we also have an SDK for Unity so that you can use Watson's services in your Unity app. So like we have a simple demonstration now that uses speech to text and Watson Assistant, which is like a natural language classifier, for voice commands. Because if you think about it, when you're in reality, you don't push buttons and use menus to get things done.
Exactly.
You say, hey, I'd like a cup of coffee, or please, could you move over to the left? We use our voices to make things happen. So this basically brings that natural interface to VR.
So do you feel the enterprise market is something that is just untapped yet and is going to take off in the future? And what's your take, and what's specifically IBM's take on that? And what are they doing to try to increase the adoption of VR within the industry?
My personal opinion is that it's fairly untapped. They're all interested in, this is on everybody's radar screen, because once all you have to do is put on a VR headset, it blows you away, the immersion effect, and people really can see the potential for it. So I think anybody who's done that gets the spark within them. But, in the enterprise world, there's budgets, there's organizations, so whether or not...
They want ROI.
That's right. So whether or not people are adopting it or not, I think with organizations that have, departments that do training, that already have budgets and investment, it's on their radar screen. They just can't deny that this is a cool new way to do training, especially if that training is dangerous, or if it's in difficult places or faraway places. You can reproduce that in virtual reality and save a tremendous amount of money. So I think it's on the radar screen of those people whose profession it already is to do these kind of training or other use cases.
Is IBM using VR itself within the company?
Within the company?
That you know of? I know IBM is.
I will tell you, there's more I don't know than I do know within IBM. So I'm not sure. I think I have seen some initiatives where people are doing some training within IBM using VR. Right. But for us, I think it's a huge untapped potential as well.
Well, you heard of the Striver/Walmart deal. They created training for 1 million employees within Walmart. Right, using 17,000 Oculus Go. So that says something about the market and the enterprise specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just like anything, it's all a matter of time and money. But it's such a compelling use case. It's so powerful that I think that over time, everyone will adopt these kind of tools, or third parties will create training experiences that people in various industries could use because they're not going to have the resources to create them themselves.
Very cool. All right, Scott, thank you so much.
Yeah,
pleasure.
You're welcome. Nice talking to you.
Daniel, welcome. You're with Unity,
Yes, I am.
And what do you do at Unity?
I'm a product manager at Unity.
Okay, for the hub?
Yes, for the hub, and package manager as well.
I approached you because it said, ask me about the hub, and I'm asking you about the hub.
That's what I'm here for.
There you go. So tell us about the hub.
So the hub is a desktop application that helps basically manage the projects and Unity installations that you have available to you. In this case, what we're looking at is currently installed and set up with loaded with projects, but the hub also basically, if you're a new user, will guide you through the basic steps of creating your account, logging in, and discovering which version of the editor is the latest one that you'd want to potentially try and download, and likewise expose you to learning content. So tutorials, samples, things to help get you started.
I see, and it looks like it's broken into 3 sections. You have projects, learn, and installs. Give us a quick overview of those.
So I guess I'll start with install, since that's likely the first thing you'll do before you actually get into creating a project, assuming you don't have Unity already installed. The hub helps you discover all of the latest releases that we're pushing out publicly, whether that's an official supported release or even our beta builds.
Can you opt in for the beta build and not opt in?
It's automatic. Beta is widely available in public to Unity, so everything that we have on our website will just be reflected here.
I see. So is the hub a new app that you guys are releasing, or is this a new updated version of it?
No, this came out officially in September for the first V1. It was in beta prior to that for about 8 months or so.
Okay.
The idea here is, it's always evolving. So the hub, because it's independent of the editor, can be updated and patched and so on outside of our typical release cadence.
And on the project side?
Yeah, so on the project side, this is what you're you're seeing here is just a list of all the current projects that have been created for the demos for the show here.
Right.
But fundamentally, what we're doing is extracting this concept away from a specific version of the editor and making it a bit more uniform. I want to create a project, you can specify I wanted to do it in the beta, the latest release, or I want to do it in a previous version, for example, and introducing the concept of project templates. The template basically loads the editor with the default project settings and tools, which we deliver as packages for the most part nowadays, that help you essentially get to a state quicker than if you were to do it all manually by hand.
I see you have a VR lightweight RP template. Can you speak a little bit to that template?
So that is a lightweight render pipeline-based template, ideal for mobile VR. So the templates are your basic 2D, 3D, and then we have preview templates here, which are basically means these are currently in beta, being evolved and grown, and the list itself will be refined over time in terms of functionality and additional target platforms potentially.
Sure. And why would you want to target an older version of Unity, let's say? Give it some examples for that.
Well, the idea for the hub, it's not just for new users or anyone just trying to do the latest version, but it's just for studios who manage multiple projects across multiple versions of the editor. Not everyone updates right away from an older release to a new release as soon as we release it. So it's just an idea of saying you're doing maybe episodic content or episodic style games, you need to keep it on the same version because your pipeline may have been based on that version of Unity, for example.
And you would have to have those versions installed locally, and will it automatically install a new version for you if you don't have it installed locally?
No, it currently doesn't do that.
So you have to go to the installs tab and make sure you have all the versions you need in there.
The installs tab currently lists only the current releases. We do have a feature on our website which allows it to then, as you browse through the archive, because the archive is pretty extensive, rather than bombard the user with every single option available, because there's hundreds of them in terms of updates and patches.
Right.
If there's a specific version that you're looking for that's not listed here, we have the archive on the website, which then will allow you to go install with Hub, and the Hub will pop up, get everything set up for you correctly.
And how do they install the Hub itself?
That's easy. You download it from the website, Windows, Mac, and Linux. We support all three platforms.
Okay.
And it'll detect your platform based on your browser, and click install, that's it.
All right, well, Daniel, thank you so much for the overview. Appreciate it.
My pleasure, thank you.
Vitaly, welcome to the podcast, and you are with GetSocial. It's a Dutch company, right?
Yes, correct. Our headquarters are in the Netherlands, in The Hague, but we also have a team in Ukraine.
I see, and you're from Ukraine.
And I'm from Ukraine, yes.
Ukraine team. Okay, and this is about social media and getting connected socially using Unity, right?
Basically, you as a Unity developer can download our asset from the asset store, and in a couple of lines of code provide all the social features you can think of in your mobile application. You can think of it as a white label Facebook in a couple of lines of code.
So give some examples of social features that you can add to your game or app.
With a couple of lines of code, you can let your users to invite their friends through different social networks, because the big problem now is that our friend cycle is fragmented. We have friends in Facebook Messenger, in WhatsApp, in Kik, Kakao, and like thousands of other providers. Our tools let bring all the users from different social networks and connect them back inside your application.
So you have a unified API that can just basically, with a couple of calls, connect you to any social network?
Connect to any social network, and you can recreate the social graph inside your application.
I see.
And you'll have the same like friendship features, like you can get list of friends, you can get list of suggested friends, and you can talk to those friends using our newsfeed.
I see. And this is an asset within the asset store?
Yes, we are Unity certified assets.
Okay.
So most likely you'll see us on the front page for a couple of days in a month.
Got it. And how does it interface with VR, or can it?
VR developers can use our data API. So there are two levels of integration. For mobile developers, you can use our UI and integrate in 40 minutes or so. For VR developers, it's a bit harder because you have to use our data API and build UI on your own because of the specifics of the platform. But the same social features are available for both platforms.
So for the mobile developers, not only do they have the API, but you also have some sort of UI, pre-made UIs. And I take it they can customize those UIs to match their application.
Absolutely. All the UI configuration is in a simple JSON file. Just configure assets, configure colors, and make our UI look like inside your
app.
Yeah. Yep.
Are you looking at doing anything like that for VR at all?
Not at the moment, because VR is so fragmented now, and it's like very early days. It's very hard to provide some generic option. but we are definitely looking how the VR is developing and maybe in the future.
Right. And the API, they use C#?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. Do you offer this for outside of Unity? For example, if you're coding, let's say, in WebVR or some other application, do you offer the API to be used outside of Unity?
Our library is available on Android, iOS native, Cordova, and Unity, all major mobile platforms basically.
I see. Okay. And if they want to find out more about it or get the SDK, where do they get that?
You can download us from the asset store. Just look for GetSocial or visit our website getsocial.im.
All right. Well, Vitaly, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yuka, welcome to the podcast. And you are with Tridify Convert.
Tridify.
Or just Tridify. Convert is the app.
Yeah.
I see. So what is it? What's Convert?
Tridify Convert is a conversion tool for CAD models to get them to Unity with the data. It's not just a conversion, it's to bring the data to use in Unity to manipulate things.
So let's talk about what you mean exactly by the data. Are you talking about all the metadata attached within an AutoCAD file comes along, and then what do you do with it in Unity? What's the use case?
The use case is we might have a 10-story hospital building, and you try to create colliders for doors or floors or whatever. With our tools, you can easily find all the things you need. Just one click, find the floor data, and attach the colliders there so you can walk around.
I see. So you can quickly identify objects because the metadata is already part of the CAD file.
Exactly.
I see. And how long does it take to convert a CAD file over into Unity?
It depends on the file size, but around 100 megs, which covers most of the files currently, it's going to take a couple of minutes, like 3 to 5 minutes maximum.
And what's the normal workflow? Do people normally attach a lot of data to AutoCAD files to identify, like let's say it's an engine, right?
Yeah.
To identify all the parts of the engine?
Yeah, usually everybody does it in CAD, but currently only way to get the data in Unity, you need to recreate it in Unity. But without tools, you don't need to go through from CAD to 3ds Max or similar tool to fix the model, then go to Unity, attach the data back. Now you just get the CAD data and use our service to convert it to Unity.
When you say service, is it a backend service? So you have to upload it to a website first?
Yeah, it's a Amazon Cloud service, so all the conversion happens in there, so you don't need to do anything on your own computer. Then you use our Unity tools, which are available in Asset Store, to download and attach the data back in the objects themselves.
I see. And what's the workflow of taking the CAD file and converting it on your website? Is it all done through Unity, or do you have to go upload it to your website, then download all the data?
Yeah, currently you sign up for the web service and you upload your model in there, and then you go to Unity and log into the same service and download it.
Got it. Are you in the future going to try to keep it all within Unity so you can upload the file and automatically convert it and get the data down?
Yeah, that's what because it uses APIs anyway.
Exactly.
We are just still working on the UI
just
for that.
Just more convenient, right? Yeah, a faster workflow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So if people want to find out more, where should they go?
Go tridify.com and check out the conversion side on there. So.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, well, great to meet you.
Same to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Kiko, welcome to the podcast, and you are with Plastic? Is that how you pronounce it?
Correct.
Yeah, and you're version control for Unity. Now, I'm a web developer, I'm not a Unity developer, so I know what version control is. Can you explain how does it work within Unity?
Okay, and in a nutshell, what happens is in the game development and in Unity, there are two worlds. One is the developer, and the other one is the artist, designer, sound engineers, and the rest. The second category not necessarily understand very well what version control is, what is needed, and they have certain requests, which is working with large files, working in centralized mode. So basically they look the files they're working on and they need to check in and only work on those files. They're not interested in the rest, where the software developer need the rest of the files to be able to compile a program. So these are very different worlds, and we combine them into Plastic SCM. Support large binary files, support locking files, a specific user interface for artists, and as well, it serves the developer community like any other modern version control tool.
And how does it compare with like Git?
Okay, so it integrates with Unity. Unity built the integration with us.
Okay.
It ships with Unity, so you don't need an extra program or download anything.
So
it
it's
works
already
together
with Unity.
inside Unity. The difference between Plastic and Git is the fact that we support large files. We support the centralized mode, and again, you don't need to download content that you're not going to work in.
Right.
In Git, you have to replicate all the repositories. You don't need to do that. Imagine that you have 50, 100, or 300 developers and artists working together. It's almost impossible to download content of 3 terabytes, 4 terabytes, 7 terabytes, as we have customers for everybody.
Yeah.
That's unproductive. So that's the big difference. And we made a product that works both worlds.
And how does each user identify what asset they want to work with and only those assets?
Yeah, so they have a repo. They connect to that repo, which is a central server. And
That's the repo that everybody connects to.
Yeah, and they may have a directory with the assets, or it could be one repo for assets and repo for documentation and one repo for code. And they select which files are in the directory of the project, which project they're going to work with, and they download that content specifically on a per file basis. And they need to download the whole repo or anything like that.
Right, but they get to see the whole repo
Yes, they get to
without
see that.
downloading
Exactly.
it. Okay.
Exactly.
And then on the development side, because they would need all these files, right? What if let's say the audio engineer is working on an audio file,
Yeah.
but the developer wants to do a preliminary build just to test things out?
Yeah.
Can they still download it while it's locked?
Exactly.
But it's locked for them not to edit or anything.
Exactly. Not to edit. Exactly. They can download, and the developer can have all the assets needed for the project and make the build.
I see. And all these assets and the library, where is it stored? Is it stored on their SAN, or is it stored on the cloud?
It could be both. You
Okay.
can select which Plastic flavor you want, and Plastic can work on-premise, on cloud, and both, and in both places at the same time. You can have your own server, and you can connect to the cloud if you have external people that you don't want them to VPN into your office. You can have a cloud server for that purpose, for example.
I see. And I know it's mainly version control, but can you attach comments or any kind of notes to all the files?
You can annotate, there are specific fields. You can define the fields and annotate on them. Although it's a version control product, it's not a DAM. It's not a digital asset management.
Yeah.
We don't intend to do that type of work. But you can annotate. Yeah.
And you can roll back
Yes, of course you can get
different versions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can comment in every check-in, or you can have specific fields dedicated to specific files. You can do that.
Okay, and can you break branches and go
Yes,
off?
you can do branching and merging. We precisely because we started in version control for developers.
I see.
We have technology patent on the merging and diffing side of things, and we do things like semantic merge, which understands the language and can resolve very complex refactors of code while the team is working on the code at the same time.
I see.
So that's a unique technology that it also works separately from Plastic. It's released for Git or any other version control tool.
So is it a separate app or is it like a panel within Unity?
It's a panel within Unity.
It's a panel.
It works a panel within Unity. Yeah.
Do you also have it as a separate app for non-Unity development?
Yes, of course. And in fact, some people use Unity, don't use Plastic integrated within Unity. They go out and detect all the changes that are in their workspace before checking into the repository. So that you can do that.
And you said this is part of Unity now, or no, you have to buy it extra?
You have to buy it extra.
Okay, and what's the licensing model?
Okay, there is a licensing model for small teams, 15 developers or less.
Okay.
Yeah, you pay for the on-premise installation $9.95 per user per month.
Okay.
Like Spotify.
Yeah.
Or you can have it on the cloud, and the cloud is $6.95 per user per month.
Okay.
And you pay an extra fee for storage and communication, which is for the entire team. For example, 100 gigabytes of space is $19.95 per month for the entire team.
Yeah.
And for 15 gigabytes, it's $495.
So you buy space, basically.
Yeah, buy space.
And do you need a minimum of 15? So you're only targeting like
No,
larger?
you have a,
Can you have a one person?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, So it'd be $695 per month.
Yes, exactly.
For that,
Yes.
for the cloud version.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
and there's still a communication charge.
No,
for the one
it's
person.
included. We charge we call it for the storage, but actually it's not only storage. It's included all the servers necessary to run the version control server in the cloud,
Yeah.
plus the communications.
I see. Okay, makes sense. All right, and if people want to find out more about it, where should they go?
They should go to www.plasticscm.com.
Okay.
And there is the pricing information, product information. They can even request on the homepage a free 1-hour training for anybody. Even
Okay.
the very
Is there a
small
trial
team.
version or no?
It's a trial version for 30 days
Okay.
that anybody can subscribe.
Perfect. We'll put it on our show notes. Okay, Kiko. Nice to meet you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Jacob, welcome to the podcast. You are with, what is it called? Rokoko?
Rokoko.
I love that name, Rokoko.
thank you.
That's pretty cool. So tell us about Rokoko. I mean, I was looking and you got a guy in a suit, right? People need to visualize this because it's audio only. But you got a guy in a suit wearing some sort of motion capture
Exactly.
suit, and then you have an iPad that's acting like a camera.
Yeah.
And the guy is somehow connected to a virtual avatar. And then you had a stick with a tracker, like a tracker from an HTC Vive.
Exactly.
That was connected to a fly.
Yeah.
And as the guy moved around the stick, you could see the fly move around the guy, and as the guy moved, you could see the avatar move.
Exactly.
And it's all done live, and it's all running on a laptop.
Yep.
So did that pretty much cover?
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
Okay.
Well done.
So explain what
Yeah,
the heck
sure.
you're doing there.
So basically, Rokoko was founded in Copenhagen, Denmark. We come from the film industry there,
Okay.
And we work with these optical motion capture systems, which is a really expensive and cumbersome technology to work with. You need
Right.
a lot of cameras filming
Right.
these reflective markers you have all over your body, and when two cameras can see a marker, it can place it in the room. But you need a studio, you need all these cameras, you need a lot of technical expertise. So we thought motion capture was the most amazing technology you would ever work with, but it was just too hard to use,
Yeah.
too expensive.
Too much friction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what we did was invent our own system made with sensors.
Okay.
So each of these sensors has a gyro, an accelerometer, and a compass. And with that output, it's like what's in your phone, basically.
Right.
You can actually calculate the entire body without using cameras. So
Okay.
without using any external trackers, you can calculate the body motions.
Okay.
So basically what we're doing is making a motion capture system that, one, is affordable. It's $2,500 for the suit, including software.
2.5,
2,500.
2,500.
Yeah,
Oh,
for
wow.
the suit, including software, instead of hundreds of thousands
That's
for the
killer.
optimists.
Yeah. Even for a single developer,
Exactly.
it's not a huge investment.
Exactly. So you can buy it. It's affordable. It's intuitive to use.
Right.
It takes less than a minute to put on. It's literally just a suit you put on, strap it up, then you do one calibration pose, and then you're ready to record.
Okay.
And
Is
the
that like a
beauty of-
T-pose or something? Or?
Yeah, we call it a straight pose. So you stand with your arms down your sides,
Okay.
and then it aligns your body with the character in our studio software. And then you can use it anywhere because there's no cameras filming you. You can actually use it outside. You don't have to be in a studio. The suit can create its own hotspot, so you don't even have to connect through Wi-Fi.
So you're wireless in the suit.
You can actually log your computer onto the suit and use it anywhere. Go for a run in the woods, and then you have all your data with you. And you can visualize on your app while you're running.
Oh my
so
God.
that is like the core product that we have.
Okay.
And then what we're showcasing here is a virtual production setup where we combine the suit with Valve base stations and Vive trackers to actually get a handheld camera inside Unity. So we have a Vive tracker placed on an iPad, and then we have a Vive tracker placed on the person in the suit, and then a Vive tracker on, as you said, on the fly, representing a fly. And then we actually have props and a live character inside Unity and a live camera there. So what we've done is take this, first a suit and then virtual production in general, and turn it from some very hard to use technology that's very expensive into a setup here that's less than 3,000 for base stations and trackers and a suit.
How can this be used for virtual reality, and how can you also put your actors in virtual reality so they can visualize the person or avatar they are?
So there's two sort of use cases with the suit in VR. There's one which recording motions that you then put onto your character, regular animation, regular motion capture use. But for this, there's also using the suit as an input device. So actually as a joystick, right?
Yeah.
So we have native plugin for Unity, Unreal, and Motion Builder. So especially Unity is big in VR. So you can basically just put on the suit, connect through Wi-Fi, and then for import the data directly into Unity, into your project, into your environment, onto your character, and then control that. As long as it's a humanoid, a biped basically, then you can use the suit, just plug and play. And so we have a lot of users that use it not only for the background characters and the environment, but actually for playing the game. The delay is one of the challenges, but we've actually got it wireless down. Yeah, because if you want something with interaction in VR, it's very important that there's no delay. I think for the headset, I think it's 30 milliseconds now. That's sort of how little it has to be for it to seem real. Yeah. So we have 20 milliseconds internal in the suit, but depending on your Wi-Fi setup, it can be a little more. So we haven't optimized specifically for VR for an input device yet, but that's one of the things we're working on.
So you're planning on putting the suit out beyond production, more like for people that are into VR and want to use it instead of hand controllers?
Yeah, we're seeing that need so much. We're seeing so many reach out to us and say, hey, we want...
Yeah, definitely.
There's like this whole virtual YouTuber, everything has to be virtual and has to be 360, and they all need an input device, and they need something they can put on fast, something that's affordable. So we've sort of, even though we didn't create it initially for that, we've created something that's perfect for it. So we're optimizing for that, and I think that's one of the things that's in the pipeline for the next year, really optimizing it for real-time VR use.
Now, question for you, and obviously it's a long ways to go for you to release it, but selling at $2,500, you're not going to get a consumer to buy that for VR gaming. I'm talking about, right? So, are you looking at trying to take what you made here, but make a more consumer-friendly, meaning cost-wise, down, or what's your plan on that?
The technology we use basically is not expensive. It's not like cameras or
it's off-the-shelf.
It's off-the-shelf stuff that's optimized for phones all the time. So it's not the parts that are expensive. It's the algorithms. It's the calibration process. So we can basically simplify and bring it down to something that's much closer to the price point that will work for consumers. So
you'll have to put haptics
so much,
exactly,
haptics. But that's again, I mean, we do have vibration and sound.
Oh,
now.
okay, you do.
We just we've implemented all these things. We just haven't activated them yet.
And why did you implement that for the production side?
It's useful for the suit as well, for the actual recording of animation to get feedback on your work.
Okay. So to help the actor.
Yeah, exactly. And to help the performer or the developer.
Right.
So what we've done is basically make something that's why we partnered with Unity. We launched a big partnership a couple of weeks ago with Unity.
Okay.
And they have all these indie developers that never had access to motion capture before that can use it tomorrow, right? So they are the people we're optimizing it for right now. And then I guess, a few steps ahead is that going more after VR, AR, XR. But it is a space that there's a lot of hand waving and a lot of like buzz and promises. And so far it's made more sense for us to wait a little bit and to watch the space and then say once it is ready, we'll move in that direction.
Well, I think 2019 is going to be a pretty big year for VR, especially with the new Oculus Quest coming out. And it'll be interesting to see how you guys work with something like that, right? Because it's a little bit different than...
Definitely. We worked from a co-working space that was specifically VR. Once you're in the suit, you feel like jumping around, right? But then you want to make sure that you know the world you're jumping around in.
Exactly.
So there's like this built-in, we're encouraging so much movement and so much like using the body now that you have it. So we need to fix that even more. That's why AR use sometimes makes more sense, something where you can see where you are, because it is the whole point, but it's mind-blowing to look down. I tried just recently with both Vive and Oculus actually, with our suit, just to look down and see another body than your own, right? Exactly. You look down and you see some character.
And you're kneeling down and it kneels down, right?
Yeah, and you see that's the beauty of motion capture that you can never get with animation, like keyframe animation, is those little nuances that make that make you. Like you can recognize people that everyone in this conference hall will look different in motion capture because it's their unique body language, and that's what you see when you look down at yourself. You can see that it's you. Yeah, that's really powerful.
That's really cool. That's awesome, man. And if people want to get a hold of you guys or learn more, where do they go, Jacob?
Rokoko.com, ROKOKO.com, and then we're launching a lot of things with Unity over the next months. So just follow that.
So this is not out yet in production.
It's announced, but all the integrations with the suit will keep on coming, basically.
Got it.
And then find us on Facebook and Twitter, and stay tuned because there's a lot of cool stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jacob, thank you so much. I appreciate it. David, welcome to the podcast. And you are with the, I guess, ads department? Or
Yes, it is. Yeah, we call Unity Ads.
Okay.
As you know, Unity is a gaming engine company.
Right.
And we have so many different mobile games that is made with Unity.
Right.
So we help the developers to monetize their game by placing different advertisements within the game.
Okay.
And we help advertisers to promote their game using our publisher within the game.
Now, question for you on the ads themselves, and if we're more focused on VR, but we'll touch upon that in just a minute.
Yes.
But the ads themselves, are they like video, or are these interactive ads that people can play games as part of the ad?
Most of our inventories are video network, but we do have playable video ads, which is interactive.
Interactive. Yes. So let's talk a little bit about VR, because that's something that people aren't monetizing yet, right? I mean, you buy the VR experience, there's no in-app purchases yet.
No.
So how would an ad in a VR experience work, or do you have that available yet?
With the Unity Ads SDK 3.0, our AR ads is fully functional right now, but we're still gathering like more publishers to live their AR ads. We already have like a few AR ads live right now. For example, like we have this incredible watch ads. So if you aim your mobile screen to your wrist, then this watch shows up, like different kinds of watch shows up, so you can switch over to and compare to with your skin color and how does it look on your skin. We also have a different AR ads from a furniture advertiser. So if you aim your mobile phone to your living room, then this coffee table shows up, and you can take a look. How does it look like on your screen, and how does it look like on your home? And also we have a gaming playable AR ads, which is for example, something like a puzzle game. When you aiming your desk, then these boxes and this character show up on your desk. You can a slingshot character, and then you can break it through, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, we have a basketball, a sporting AR ads. We can aiming to your door or your office. Then this artificial basketball court shows up, and you can swipe to shoot the balls.
The basket, right? So, question on the workflow: how was the process of creating these ads? Do you create them in Unity, just like a regular little game, and then you submit them as an ad? Do you have to package them in a certain way?
So to create the playable ads, there are two different ways. We have internal playable ads. You can do it from tiny Unity. This is something available for made with Unity developers. You can use our asset stores to create playable asset. The other one is you can also utilize external playable ads within Unity. If advertiser approaches to our Unity as account managers, then we provide external playable ads guide. Then advertisers can create MRI 2.0 HTML file playable ads, then they can utilize it.
And then circling back to VR, right? Yes. You mentioned AR. You have nothing yet on VR, right?
We had movie trailer with VR. We have a Jigsaw movie trailer with VR, and I actually myself tried it. It was quite terrifying. Yeah. So it's like a movie trailer, but you can actually be in the movie, and you can, right.
So you're offering those right now. You have the ability to add ads in VR experiences.
I believe it's still a prototype.
It's still prototype.
But I can double check it for you.
I see, but it's still prototype. So there's nothing that can use. Okay, if people want to find out more about ads for Unity, where do they go?
This is unity3.com and /ads.
/ads. Okay, great. All right, David, thank you very much. Pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please remember to leave a comment or a like on my site, howtocreatevr.com. If you have not registered yet, please do so today by visiting howtocreatevr.com and clicking on the Register for Free button on the homepage. Free registration will get you more podcast episodes, how-to tutorials, ability to comment on and favorite items, the ability to build watch lists, and download practice assets, plus much more. So please register today. If you are ever in the Southern California area, we have a monthly meetup with lots of great VR and AR presentations. You can join or RSVP for our next meetup at howtocreatevr.com/meetup. So until the next episode, I'm your host, Marcelo Lewin. Cheers, everyone.